Ever notice how the things you want most desperately seem to stay just out of reach? The promotion you've been chasing for months? The relationship you've been seeking for years? The financial freedom that keeps slipping through your fingers? What if everything you've been taught about achieving success is backward? What if the secret isn't in the chase, but in letting go? This paradox is at the heart of an ancient wisdom that's been scientifically proven. Detachment is the fastest path to receiving what you truly desire. When we grip too tightly to outcomes, we create invisible barriers. Our anxiety, desperation, and tunnel vision actually repel the very things we're trying to attract. Detachment isn't about not caring or giving up. It's about releasing the stranglehold of expectation while still moving toward your goals. Today, we're diving deep into why letting go creates a magnetic force that pulls opportunities toward you effortlessly. You'll discover why the universe seems to reward those who release attachment with surprisingly rapid results. The truth is, most people are sabotaging their success without realizing it. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how to stop this pattern and start receiving what you've been seeking all along. The fastest results don't come from pushing harder. They come when you finally learn to detach. The tighter we grip, the more we suffocate what we want to grow. This clinging mindset blocks the very results we're desperately seeking. It's like squeezing water in your palm. The harder you press, the more it slips through your fingers. Attachment creates a current of resistance that flows directly against your desired outcomes. When we become fixated on specific results, our brain shifts into a stress response. Cortisol floods our system. Our thoughts narrow. We begin operating from a place of fear rather than possibility. This mental state affects everything. Decision-making becomes clouded by anxiety. Conversations feel forced. Actions stem from desperation rather than inspiration. People sense this energy and instinctively pull away. Opportunities that might have appeared seem to vanish before they materialize. Attachment also blinds us to alternative paths. While focusing intensely on one specific outcome, countless doors remain unseen. These missed opportunities often represent faster, easier routes to what we truly desire. Clinging creates a paradoxical effect. Wanting something so badly actually pushes it away. This happens because attachment generates a subtle but powerful undercurrent of neediness. This energy is repellent in nearly every context: career advancement, romantic connections, financial abundance, even personal growth. Our attachment frequently stems from beliefs about scarcity. We cling because we fear there won't be enough opportunities, enough love, enough resources. This scarcity mentality becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, creating the very limitations we fear. Attachment also disrupts our natural timing. When fixated on immediate results, we rush processes that require patience. We force conversations that need space. We push for outcomes before foundations are properly built. Perhaps worst of all, attachment keeps us living in a future that doesn't exist. Instead of experiencing life now, we project ourselves forward, constantly straining towards some imagined moment when everything will finally be right. This robs us of present joy and creates a perpetual state of discontentment. Biological evidence shows attachment triggers stress responses that inhibit creativity, intuition, and connection, the very qualities needed to manifest desired outcomes. Fascinating research reveals what happens in our brains when we shift from attachment to detachment. Neuroimaging studies show Different neural pathways activate when we operate from a place of detachment versus desperate wanting. When detached, our prefrontal cortex, responsible for calm, rational thinking, remains fully engaged. This area governs strategic planning, creative problem solving, and complex decision making. Meanwhile, activity in our amygdala, our brain's fear center, significantly decreases. Detachment triggers the release of serotonin and dopamine in balanced amounts. These neurotransmitters promote feelings of well being, clarity, and motivation without the anxious edge of desperation. Heart rate normalizes, blood pressure decreases, breathing becomes deeper and more regular. Studies examining high achievers across fields consistently find they share an unusual ability to pursue goals with passionate focus while simultaneously maintaining emotional detachment from outcomes. This paradoxical mindset allows them to take bold actions without becoming derailed by setbacks. Brainwave patterns shift dramatically between states of attachment versus detachment. Attachment creates high beta wave activity associated with stress, anxiety, and overthinking. Detachment increases alpha wave activity linked to relaxed alertness, creativity, and heightened intuition. Research also reveals detachment enhances cognitive flexibility, allowing us to recognize opportunities we might otherwise miss. Our peripheral awareness expands, pattern recognition improves. Connections between seemingly unrelated concepts emerge more readily. Detachment alters our relationship with time. Brain scans show reduced activity in areas associated with time urgency and impatience. This physiological shift enables strategic patience, taking perfect action at optimal moments rather than forced action at every moment. Scientists studying flow states, periods of peak performance and creativity, find they only occur when we're paradoxically both engaged yet detached. Too much attachment to outcomes immediately disrupts flow, while healthy detachment facilitates it. Stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline plummet when practicing detachment. These hormones, while useful for immediate threats, chronically impair immune function, disrupt sleep, and compromise cognition when constantly elevated through persistent attachment. Detachment doesn't mean caring less, it means caring differently. MRI scans reveal detachment activates brain regions associated with compassion, wisdom, and long-term thinking, while deactivating regions linked to obsessive thought patterns and emotional reactivity. Certain telltale signals reveal when unhealthy attachment is sabotaging progress. Obsessive checking behaviors point directly to attachment issues. Constantly refreshing email, awaiting responses, checking social media metrics every few minutes, or repeatedly looking at dating apps signals a mind stuck in attachment mode. Physical symptoms often manifest when attachment takes hold. Sleep becomes disrupted, appetite changes, headaches intensify, stomach discomfort emerges. These bodily responses reflect internal resistance created through clinging too tightly to specific outcomes. Emotional volatility serves as another clear indicator. When small setbacks trigger disproportionate reactions, intense disappointment, anger, or despair, attachment has likely crossed into unhealthy territory. Success becomes psychologically dangerous because too much rides on each outcome. Conversations become dominated by singular topics when attachment takes hold. Friends grow weary of hearing about that promotion, potential relationship, or business idea because it monopolizes every interaction. This one-dimensional focus reflects a mind constricted by attachment. Time perception warps under attachment's influence. Hours seem like days when awaiting results. Future-focused thinking dominates, making it nearly impossible to remain present. This time distortion creates a perpetual state of emotional suspension, never fully experiencing now while fixated on later. Decision paralysis emerges as attachment intensifies. Simple choices become overwhelming because everything gets evaluated through the lens of how it might impact the desired outcome. This mental gridlock prevents fluid action and creates unnecessary complications. Magical thinking flourishes when attachment takes root. Random events get interpreted as cosmic signs. Coincidences become loaded with meaning. This pattern-seeking behavior reflects a mind desperate for control and certainty where none exists. Social withdrawal often accompanies deep attachment. When results don't manifest quickly, shame and inadequacy feelings lead to isolation. This protective withdrawal further blocks potential connections that might facilitate success. Risk aversion develops alongside attachment. Fear of jeopardizing the desired outcome creates hesitation around necessary actions. This safety-seeking behavior ironically prevents the very bold moves often required for breakthrough results. Negative self-talk intensifies proportionally with attachment levels. Inner dialogue becomes increasingly critical when progress seems slow. This internal criticism creates additional resistance, compounding the very problem it claims to address. Cultivating detachment requires a fundamental mindset shift that transforms how we relate to desires, goals, and outcomes. This shift begins with separating identity from results. When personal worth becomes entangled with specific achievements, attachment inevitably follows. Breaking this connection allows pursuing goals without existential pressure. Detachment embraces paradox, caring deeply yet holding lightly. This nuanced approach maintains passionate engagement while releasing rigid expectations about how and when results must materialize. Goals remain clear, while pathways remain flexible. Practicing detachment means adopting process orientation over outcome fixation. Attention shifts from obsessing about future results to immersing fully in present actions. Each step becomes inherently satisfying rather than merely instrumental to some distant reward. Curiosity replaces certainty in the detached mindset. Instead of demanding specific outcomes, an attitude of experimentation prevails. Every situation becomes an interesting data point rather than a referendum on personal worth or future possibilities. Detachment cultivates faith in timing beyond personal control. This doesn't mean passive waiting, but rather active preparation paired with patience. Seeds get planted, watered, and tended while trusting their natural unfolding process. Abundance thinking forms detachment's foundation. Recognizing infinite possibilities rather than limited opportunities removes the desperate quality from pursuit. When something doesn't work out, it simply means something else will. Healthy detachment requires comfort with uncertainty. Rather than demanding guarantees, this mindset embraces life's inherent unpredictability. This acceptance paradoxically creates greater stability than anxiety-producing false certainties. Allowing becomes central to this approach. Instead of forcing, manipulating, or controlling, energy shifts toward creating conducive conditions, then letting natural processes unfold. This allowing quality feels almost magnetic, pulling opportunities forward through invitation rather than demand. Detachment creates space between impulse and action. This gap allows discernment about which moves truly serve long-term aims versus momentary attachment-driven reactions. Decisions become clearer, more intentional, and ultimately more effective. Shifting into detachment requires practicing presence, full engagement with current reality, even when it differs from desires, creates a foundation for authentic progress. This groundedness prevents the escapism that often accompanies attachment to future fantasies. Magnets operate through invisible forces of attraction, not by chasing what they seek to draw near. This magnetic principle applies remarkably well to human psychology and achievement. When desperation dissolves, authentic attraction awakens. People instinctively sense emotional states in others. Neediness and attachment create subtle repulsion in professional settings, romantic encounters, and social situations alike. Conversely, detachment generates mysterious attraction. Something about a person who wants but doesn't need draws others forward voluntarily. Detachment creates mental bandwidth previously consumed by attachment anxiety. This newly available cognitive space allows noticing opportunities formerly invisible when tunnel vision dominated perception. Peripheral awareness expands dramatically when attachment constriction releases. Success often requires perfect timing, moving precisely when conditions align. Attachment creates premature action driven by impatience rather than optimal timing. Detachment allows sensing perfect moments for advancement rather than forcing progress regardless of readiness. Opportunities flourish in environments of ease rather than strain. Attachment generates palpable tension that others subconsciously avoid. Detachment cultivates relaxed alertness that welcomes connection naturally. This atmospheric shift proves essential for attracting collaborative possibilities. Nature abhors vacuum dynamics apply to achievement as well. Releasing attachment creates space subsequently filled by new possibilities. This influx occurs automatically without straining effort when artificial barriers of desperation dissolve. Resonance frequency principles explain this magnetic phenomenon scientifically. Each emotional state broadcasts energetic signals. Attachment transmits scarcity frequencies that repel abundance. Detachment emits completion signals that naturally attract complementary opportunities. Strangers, colleagues, and acquaintances intuitively respond more positively to detached individuals. Conversations flow easier. Information gets shared more readily. Recommendations happen spontaneously. This response pattern occurs across professional industries, social circles, and relationship contexts. Detachment fosters authentic presence instead of future-focused anxiety. This presence quality creates genuine connections impossible when viewing others as mere instruments toward desired outcomes. These authentic connections become pathways through which opportunities naturally flow. Decision makers unconsciously seek individuals operating from inner security rather than desperation. Something about detachment signals confidence, competence, and reliability. This perceived solidity draws opportunities forward without active pursuit, opportunities frequently surpassing those originally sought. Implementing detachment requires practical techniques that rewire habitual thought patterns. One powerful approach involves daily visualization of desired outcomes followed immediately by intentional surrender. This practice combines clear intention setting with deliberate release, creating both direction and detachment simultaneously. Physical movement breaks attachment loops effectively. When caught in obsessive thinking, simply standing up, walking outside, or stretching redirects neural pathways. This pattern interruption creates space between thoughts and identity, weakening attachment's grip momentarily. Morning journaling with a specific detachment focus transforms subconscious patterns. Writing desires clearly, then adding this or something better expands possibilities beyond limited attachments. Documenting evidence of past unexpected positive outcomes further reinforces trust in the detachment process. Scheduled worry sessions contain attachment anxiety productively. Designating specific 15-minute periods for concern allows acknowledging fears without letting them dominate entire days. Outside these sessions, attachment thoughts get gently postponed until their allocated time. Media consumption directly impacts attachment levels. Implementing selective information fasting, particularly avoiding comparison triggering content, creates mental space for detachment. Curating input intentionally prevents reinforcement of scarcity thinking underlying unhealthy attachment. Gratitude practices rewire neurological pathways from wanting to appreciating. Daily documentation of 3 unexpected positive developments shifts focus from what's lacking to what's appearing, strengthening detachment capacity through recognition of ongoing abundance. Breath-centered meditation builds detachment muscles effectively. Observing thoughts without engaging them develops witness consciousness, the ability to experience desires without becoming consumed by them. This witnessing capacity forms detachment's foundation. Speaking desires aloud, then physically releasing them through symbolic actions embeds detachment physically. Writing goals on paper, then burning them, releasing balloons, or skipping stones, each create tangible metaphors that program nervous systems toward healthy detachment. Curiosity questioning disrupts attachment fixation. When caught in attachment thinking, asking, what might be better than what I'm currently seeking, or how might this delay serve me, opens closed mental loops driving attachment behavior. Practicing as if detachment through role-playing changes brain chemistry. Physically embodying the posture, facial expressions, and speaking patterns of someone who trusts outcomes implicitly signals nervous systems to produce corresponding internal states, weakening attachment biochemically. Misunderstandings about detachment create unnecessary resistance to this powerful practice. Detachment does not mean abandoning ambition or surrendering goals. This fundamental misconception prevents many from experiencing detachment's benefits. True detachment maintains clear intentions while releasing rigid expectations about pathways and timing. Detachment differs completely from apathy. Where apathy lacks energy and direction, healthy detachment maintains passionate engagement while releasing desperate grasping. This distinction proves crucial. Detachment channels energy efficiently rather than diffusing it through indifference. Many mistakenly equate detachment with passivity. Nothing could be further from truth. Detachment involves decisive action without emotional dependency on specific outcomes. This approach enables bolder moves with greater clarity precisely because self-worth remains unthreatened by potential failure. Another common myth suggests detachment requires emotional flatness or suppression. Authentic detachment fully experiences emotions without being controlled by them. Joy, disappointment, excitement, all flow naturally without triggering attachment reactions that distort perception and behavior. Some incorrectly believe detachment means never planning or preparing. Effective detachment involves thorough preparation paired with flexibility about results. This balanced approach maintains strategic thinking while avoiding rigid attachment to particular plans when circumstances evolve. Detachment gets misinterpreted as withdrawal from relationships. True detachment creates healthier connections through removing neediness, manipulation, and control, allowing authentic bonds based on mutual freedom rather than emotional dependency. Many assume detachment requires spiritual beliefs or specific philosophical frameworks. While detachment appears in various spiritual traditions, its practical benefits operate independently from any belief system. Secular approaches prove equally effective through focusing on psychological rather than metaphysical aspects. Detachment often gets confused with denial or avoidance. Genuine detachment faces reality squarely, acknowledging current circumstances without resistance while maintaining vision for future possibilities. This clear-eyed assessment creates more effective action than attachment's distorted perceptions. Another misconception frames detachment as emotionally cold or uncaring. Paradoxically, detachment enables deeper care through removing self-interest from compassionate action. This selfless quality allows genuine concern, unburdened by personal agendas or needs. Detachment doesn't mean never experiencing disappointment. Feelings naturally arise when preferences go unmet. Detachment simply prevents these temporary emotions from creating lasting attachment reactions that block forward movement and future opportunities. Results from detachment follow fascinating timing patterns observed across countless cases. Initial shifts occur almost immediately at cognitive levels. Mental clarity emerges within hours of genuinely releasing attachment. This newfound clarity often reveals options previously hidden by attachment's tunnel vision. These fresh perspectives frequently offer faster pathways than originally pursued routes. Emotional benefits typically manifest within 72 hours of practicing consistent detachment. Anxiety levels decrease noticeably, sleep improves, nervous system regulation returns. This emotional recalibration creates internal conditions necessary for recognizing incoming opportunities when they appear. Small synchronicities often begin appearing within the first week of dedicated detachment practice. Helpful conversations arise unexpectedly. Relevant information surfaces without searching. These minor coincidences serve as early indicators that detachment's magnetic effect has activated. Interpersonal dynamics shift markedly between days 7 to 14 of detachment implementation. Others respond differently without consciously knowing why. Conversations flow more productively. Requests meet less resistance. This social lubrication effect accelerates progress across professional and personal domains. Tangible opportunities typically emerge between weeks 2 to 4 of maintained detachment. These opportunities often arrive through unexpected channels rather than anticipated paths. Their unpredictable nature confirms they weren't forced through attachment, but attracted through detachment. Timing varies based on several factors. More deeply entrenched attachment patterns require longer detachment periods before results manifest. Goals involving multiple people naturally take longer than purely individual pursuits due to added variables beyond personal control. Paradoxically, detachment's timeline accelerates when attachment to specific timing releases. Demanding results within particular time frames creates subtle attachment that delays manifestation. Releasing time frame expectations often triggers immediate movement forward. Some detachment results appear instantly while others unfold gradually. Short-term goals frequently manifest faster when detachment replaces attachment. Complex long-term objectives show progressive momentum increases rather than sudden completion. Detachment creates compounding returns over time. Initial results, while meaningful, typically represent just the beginning. As detachment deepens through consistent practice, manifestation speed increases proportionally. Experienced practitioners often report seemingly miraculous timing synchronicities. False detachment delays results indefinitely. When intellectual understanding substitutes for genuine emotional release, attachment persists beneath surface appearances. True detachment creates unmistakable internal shifts that precede external changes. This authentic inner transformation serves as reliable indicator that results have already begun unfolding energetically before becoming visible circumstantially. Detachment represents a fundamental shift in how we relate to everything we desire. This seemingly counterintuitive approach, letting go to receive, challenges conventional wisdom yet consistently delivers remarkable results. The paradoxical magic of detachment lies in its ability to create space for unexpected possibilities while simultaneously removing the resistance that blocks manifestation. Life operates according to certain principles, whether we recognize them or not. Attachment creates constriction, limitation, and resistance. Detachment generates expansion, possibility, and flow. This isn't mystical thinking, but practical psychology with observable effects across relationships, career advancement, creative pursuits, and personal fulfillment. Each of us faces a choice in how we pursue our deepest desires. We can clutch desperately at specific outcomes, creating tension that repels the very things we seek. Or we can hold clear intentions while releasing attachment to particular pathways and timelines, creating magnetic attraction that draws opportunities forward naturally. This detachment practice requires consistent reinforcement. Old patterns of attachment run deep through conditioning, social programming, and habit. Implementing the techniques shared today creates new neural pathways that gradually replace attachment reflexes with detachment responses. What makes detachment particularly powerful is its immediate availability. Unlike strategies requiring external resources or specific circumstances, detachment represents an internal shift accessible regardless of current situations. This universal applicability makes it perhaps the most democratic success principle available, equally powerful for everyone willing to practice it. Consider how attachment may be blocking your progress right now. Which areas of life feel stagnant despite considerable effort? Where do you experience the most anxiety about outcomes? These high tension zones likely indicate attachment patterns ripe for transformation through deliberate detachment practice. The invitation stands clear. Experiment with detachment in one specific area over the next 7 days. Observe what shifts both internally and externally. Notice how differently you feel when pursuing goals from detachment rather than desperate wanting. Pay attention to how others respond to this subtle yet profound energy shift. Detachment creates not only faster results, but also more satisfying experiences along the way. The journey itself transforms from anxious striving to curious unfolding. This quality of experience proves just as valuable as the eventual outcomes detachment helps manifest. If this perspective on detachment has offered fresh insights or practical value, please support our continued work by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Each subscription enables creating more content, exploring these powerful principles for accelerated success and deeper fulfillment. Together, we're building a community dedicated to achieving remarkable results through counterintuitive wisdom like the detachment practices shared today.